You've had some players in the bottom six, not just score, but do things to generate and maintain offensive zone time. What are some of the key things you see the Shores and Ryans on the team, doing that have helped those lines be successful?
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to work to keep plays alive. They win a lot of loose puck races. They also try and play towards a structure on offense that we try and preach. Not one on the outside where you're kind of circling around the periphery, but mindset to shoot, to break other teams down, and then win the rebound race. I think you nailed it, Reed, in that it's not always about the goal that goes in. Sometimes it's about creating momentum for your team. Sometimes it's about making another team defend. I think a really good example of that was the shift before the first goal yesterday. It's almost like we built a goal. And the way, one line went out and they hemmed the other team in, we were able to get a quick line change. We went up quick a couple times, and it led to Fogel's goal. So I think that's a great example of that.
You haven't seen Seattle for a couple of months. They remain right there in the mix. I don't know how much you've been watching them lately, but what have you seen from them that's allowed them to be, a legitimate playoff contender?
Well, I think a couple things. I think they have balance up front. So 4 lines that can score, similar to our team. I think they can, their back end has been pretty much the same the entire season. So there's a chemistry between their partners in the way they're put together. I think, their record is not a fluke. It's the result of, I think, a real cohesion in the way they want to play the game. I think they can score, like I said, and they're going to be a tough opponent for us tomorrow afternoon.
Do you think Zach Hyman will be an available player for you tomorrow?
We'll see. The one thing I haven't done yet is gone in and spoke to our trainers yet. I think it's a good sign when he's on the ice. I think you worry when players, or not worry, but, their closeness to returning to the lineup is a lot farther away when they're not on the ice skating with the team, and Zach's been skating with us. So I think that's a good sign, but I don't have an update in terms of his availability for tomorrow.
What's the strengths that Hyman and Kane bring that are different on your first unit puck?
Yeah, I think they're different. I think I would characterize Zach on the power play as more of a kind of puck retriever, somebody who scores a lot of goals with pucks going off of him and then into the net. That's a credit to him being in the right position. But, his real strength is the dog on a bone, win pucks back for his mates. As a real strength for him. In terms of Kane, I think he has a different skill set. He's willing to go to hard areas to score. He has a really good shot, and he can make plays. They're different people with different skills.
Your depth scoring seems to all be coming on at once. Shore and Fogel and Ryan, and are they sort of feeding off each other, or is it more opportunity? What's kind of behind that?
Yeah, well, I think if you look at the minutes played, the opportunity's always been there. So why is it going in for them now? I think it's part of what you said in terms of are they feeding off of each other? Sure. I think we're close to full health. We're not at full health just yet, but we're close to full health. And when you're close to full health, it gets competitive to get in the lineup. So typically you draw the best game out of people that want to play. So why is it going in for them now? I think it's a combination of all that. And in the end, we're fortunate because we have a lot of double-digit scorers, and that makes us a tough opponent because sure, you might want to key on just a few people, but we have other people that can take care of the offensive side of things as well.
So things, down the stretch seem to be coming together pretty well. I mean, you're kind of playing the type of game that you want. You're getting the secondary scoring you want. You're getting the goal tank. Is that just human nature that they can smell the playoffs coming and they dig down a little bit, or is this kind of the evolution of how things are?
Yeah, you know what, I go back to the first day in training camp, and every question was about how we were going to stack up in the playoffs, and I understand that. I get it, right? But I think what gets lost on some people is that it's an 82-game schedule, and you got to do things to survive that schedule. You got to do things to continually get better during the 82-game grind. You got to manage areas of the game so that you're prepared to play game 83. And if you look past what's immediately in front of you, you lose sight of what's most important. So as much as we want to get to game 83, we got to take care of the everyday business of progressing through an NHL schedule. I think we kind of came through the gauntlet there. The 5 weeks post All-Star break, was with the types of travel to the East Coast 3 different times, coming back and, no extended homestand there, all that type of stuff. We came through, and now, we're coming up to game 70. So there's daylight at the end of the tunnel, but we're far from guaranteed anything. We're far from entitled to anything. What we can do is try and commit to getting better day in, day out, so that we're ready when we do take that test. And I believe we will get to that point, but our focus is on taking care of the day-to-day.
Afternoon, Jay.
Good afternoon.
Where have you noticed the biggest progression in Vincent Desharnais' game in his first 24 games?
I see a lot of the same characteristics I saw in Bakersfield. I see someone who's confident. He's not a 20-year-old rookie or a 21-year-old rookie. He's been a pro for a while. He's gotten better each step along the way. Where I see growth in him and is just his comfort level of being in the NHL, of the handling the rigors of such a tough schedule. He's acquitted himself very nicely, but I've seen that at different levels as well.
He says he's trying to be the biggest sponge he can be, trying to learn off of guys like Matthias Ekholm, Darnell Nurse. Do you notice that component of his approach to the game as well?
Yeah, I think he's a student of the game. He really values being an Edmonton Oiler. I noticed that from the first development camp that I saw. It was here in this building. It was years ago. But he was so proud to have been drafted by the Edmonton Oilers, and to see him hit kind of every step along the way, I saw someone continually commit himself to learning from different people. So it's not a surprise to me that he's drinking in, the experiences of Darnell and Matthias.
I apologize for this because you're always asked about Connor McDavid on
Yep.
But I think back to the offseason when we followed him for a day, and the work that he puts in Monday to Friday in Toronto as he gears up for the season. He now has the most points ever in a single season in the salary cap era. I know you use the Mount Everest reference,
Yep.
but is he also like an iceberg as well? You don't see all of the effort that he puts in.
Yeah, I mean that's a good reference as well. I think what's a great lesson is especially for our younger players is that everyone talks about the highlights, everyone talks about the statistic or the numbers on the page, but what you were privy to was to see what the actual work on one day was. Now, multiply that by the amount of days in a summertime, multiply that by all the days in his lifetime that he has done the things required to be the best that he can be. That's unbelievably impressive.